Think heart disease is just about cholesterol? Think again. The emotional pain you've carried, grief, loneliness, stress could be silently damaging your heart every single day. After age 60, some of the deadliest threats to your heart don't come from fatty foods or bad genes. They come from emotional wounds that have been building for years. Silent stress, grief, loneliness, even the shock of retirement. And most seniors have no idea it's happening. According to the American Heart Association, emotional stress can increase your heart attack risk by over 50%, and most seniors don't even realize it's happening. That's because the warning signs are invisible. You don't need high cholesterol or clogged arteries to have a heart at risk. Sometimes, all it takes is a broken connection, bottled up grief, or the burden of caregiving that no one else understands. That's why today, we're exposing 5 hidden emotional causes of heart disease that most seniors never hear about, including the one that impacts over 80% of people after retirement. You'll learn what to look for, how to reduce your risk, and simple tools you can use to protect your heart starting now. If you want to stay independent, avoid another hospital visit, and keep enjoying life with the people you love, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. What you'll learn today could protect your heart. Trigger number 1. Social isolation syndrome. You may not feel it right away, but isolation can slowly change your body and silently weaken your heart. For seniors, social isolation syndrome is a serious form of chronic stress. When you go days without meaningful connection, your brain sees it as danger. It triggers a steady release of cortisol, the stress hormone. And when cortisol stays high too long, it raises your blood pressure, inflames your arteries, and overworks your heart. The National Institute on Aging confirms that social isolation is a real risk factor for heart disease in older adults. A study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that isolated seniors had a 43% higher heart failure risk, not from lifestyle choices, but from emotional stress. This is why social isolation syndrome, even without any physical symptoms, is considered a direct risk factor for heart disease in older adults. I remember Alan, 72, who moved to a new town to be closer to his daughter, but she worked long hours, and he didn't know anyone nearby. Over time, the quiet got heavier. Slowly, his sleep worsened, his chest felt heavier, and his blood pressure climbed even with medication. His doctor found no heart blockage, but cortisol levels were high, and his pulse was irregular. It wasn't his heart failing, it was isolation wearing it down. So what can you do today? Start small. Call someone today. Join a walking group. Attend one community event a week. It's not about being social. It's about protecting your heart. Here at this channel, we've built a health community just for you. If this message speaks to you, head to the comments and talk with others. You might find someone going through the same thing. And don't stop here. The next emotional causes we're about to reveal could be just as important for your heart. Keep watching, it could truly change your life. Trigger number 2. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. In the last section, we saw how social isolation syndrome quietly wears down the heart. But for many seniors, emotional trauma doesn't come from war or violence, it comes from deep personal loss. And when that loss is never processed, it can develop into a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. After 60, grief is common: the death of a spouse, a sibling, or even the loss of identity after retirement. But most seniors aren't offered the emotional support they need. They're told to stay strong or move on, so the grief stays inside, and that's when it becomes dangerous. According to the American Heart Association, unprocessed emotional trauma can trigger stress-induced cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. This condition causes the heart's main pumping chamber to balloon and weaken, sometimes within hours of an emotional shock. Older adults, especially women, are most at risk. A study in Circulation found that seniors grieving a loved one are nearly twice as likely to suffer heart failure in the months that follow. My friend Carol, 75, lost her brother but never talked about it. She looked calm on the outside, but inside, she felt drained, stopped sleeping, and ignored the chest tightness. She ended up in the ER with a swollen, weakened heart. It wasn't a heart attack, it was PTSD in disguise. That's what makes emotional trauma after loss so dangerous. You may not cry, you may feel nothing, but your heart remembers, and it carries the burden. If you're grieving right now, we are truly sorry for your loss. Here on this channel, we want to walk beside you to support not just your body, but your emotional healing. Subscribe and stay with us. You don't have to carry it alone. Trigger number 3, stress-induced sleep disorders. We just talked about grief, how it silently weighs on the heart. But for many seniors, that weight keeps them awake at night. And the real danger? The heart stays awake too. You see, when stress and emotional strain disturb your sleep, your body never truly resets. Cortisol and adrenaline hormones meant for emergencies remain elevated through the night. That means your heart keeps pumping harder, your blood pressure stays high, and your arteries stay tight when they should be relaxing. According to the European Heart Journal, seniors with long-term sleep disruption due to stress are at up to 48% higher risk of heart attack. And worse, when the heart doesn't get proper nighttime recovery, the risk of heart failure rises sharply, especially in adults over 65. Sleep is when the heart heals. Without it, damage builds silently. John, 71, told me he hadn't slept through the night since his wife got sick. He brushed it off as just worry. Months later, he collapsed at home. Tests showed no heart attack, but clear signs of stress-induced heart failure. His heart had simply been working too hard, for too long, without rest. If you're waking often, heart racing, or feel wired at night, that's not just insomnia. That's your heart under pressure. Have you ever tried something that helped your sleep during stressful times? Share it in the comments. Your story could help someone else rest easier tonight. Trigger number 4, chronic anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder. If sleepless nights wear your heart down over time, then constant worry pushes it faster every single day. Many seniors live with a quiet, ongoing sense of unease. You might not call it anxiety, but it shows up in your body: tight chest, racing heart, cold hands, or stomach knots. And when these feelings happen often, they don't just affect your mood, they can seriously damage your heart. Generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, is more than feeling nervous. It keeps your body in a state of constant alarm. That means your heart beats faster, your blood vessels tighten, and your blood pressure stays elevated for hours at a time. According to the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, people with chronic anxiety are over 50% more likely to develop ischemic heart disease, including angina, heart failure, and heart attacks. Over time, this constant overactivation leaves your heart tired, inflamed, and more vulnerable. Eleanor, 69, told me she was always waiting for something bad to happen. Her chest felt tight every morning, not from physical exertion, but from worry. Her cardiologist confirmed what she feared: early signs of heart strain from long-term anxiety. If you live with frequent worry or physical tension, don't ignore it. Anxiety is a real, treatable condition, and your heart deserves relief. And don't go just yet. The final emotional trigger we're about to explore is actually the most common after age 60. You won't want to miss it. Trigger number 5, adjustment disorder. By this point, you've seen how loneliness, grief, anxiety, and stress-related sleep loss quietly damage the heart. But there's one emotional trigger many seniors overlook, even though It's the most common after age 60, trying to adapt to big life changes. It's called adjustment disorder, and it often shows up after retirement, downsizing, loss of independence, or a new chronic diagnosis. While it may not seem dramatic, it triggers emotional distress that builds over weeks or months. That distress isn't just emotional. It activates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) axis, releasing chronic cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals disrupt autonomic nervous system balance, making your heart beat faster, your blood vessels constrict, and your blood pressure fluctuate unpredictably. According to a 2021 study in the Journal of Geriatric Cardiology, seniors with untreated adjustment disorder are at significantly higher risk for vascular inflammation, cardiac arrhythmia, and stress-related myocardial ischemia, reduced blood flow to the heart that can cause chest pain or even heart attacks. My sister Helen retired at 70 after working her whole life. At first, she was excited, no more deadlines, no more early mornings. But after a few weeks, she started feeling off. She couldn't sleep, felt a strange tightness in her chest, and her blood pressure kept jumping without warning. Her tests came back normal, but her doctor said it was stress. Her body was struggling to adjust to the change. It wasn't heart disease in the usual sense, it was emotional pressure wearing her heart down. If you've recently gone through a major change and now feel off, emotionally or physically, don't dismiss it. Talk to your doctor, and talk to someone who listens, because adjusting emotionally could save your heart physically. You've just learned about 5 emotional triggers that most seniors overlook, but they could be silently hurting your heart every day. Social isolation, grief, anxiety, stress-related insomnia, and difficulty adjusting to life changes all activate stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, they inflame your blood vessels, raise your blood pressure, and keep your heart working harder than it should, even while you sleep. The problem is, these issues rarely show up in routine checkups. You might feel a tight chest, fatigue, or poor sleep, and think it's just part of getting older. But it's not. These are warning signs your heart is carrying more than it can handle. Emotional triggers can be managed once you recognize them. If this video helped you see something in your own story, please hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you won't miss the next episode. And we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced one of these emotional triggers? Share your story in the comments, because your voice could be the one that helps another senior take action before it's too late.